I think we're good. So Pages Sync, we've done a lot of testing and it sounds like it's going smoother than the API rollout changes, which is great and encouraging, but would love to hear your kind of verbalization of the agenda.
Yeah. Basically, we were planning to test it like, I don't know, an hour a day for a week or so. Then we enabled it for 1 hour and nothing popped up. So we enabled it for 6 hours, then for 24 hours, and still no problem, no visible change. It's 40 milliseconds slower than it was, but it was kind of expected. We can't do anything because it's time for Pages to reach the object storage. Yeah, we will make it twice as smaller than it is now, but yeah. So everything went well. Nobody objected anything. So today, like, I don't know, 5 hours ago, I just enabled it, and we don't have plan to disable it in the near future. So basically, we can do it later, but tomorrow will be already Friday, and we have 2 weekend days, so it would be kind of harder to do. So yeah, and we are planning to start testing on user projects somewhere next week. Basically, the only thing which is blocking us is last change in Pages, which is metrics, which is not yet in production. So I hope it will be in production by, I don't know, maybe Monday, Tuesday, something like that. And then we can start rolling out to user projects. But there is a small problem there. Like, we currently are able to serve only people who recently run the pipelines. So they have these artifacts, archives in the GitLab storage already. So when we will roll this out to 5%, it will be probably like 2.5% or even smaller than that. But yeah, still it will be like some real traffic, and maybe we will see that some people find some other problems which we didn't notice on the docs, gitlab.com. But yeah, overall, it went super smoothly, and we don't have any problems right now, which is very surprising because I guess everyone was expecting that something went wrong. Camille was constantly saying that if something go wrong, we can always go back to direct object storage approach. But yeah, so far so good.
Sounds super encouraging. I mean, that's awesome. The metrics issue that you're talking about, I just linked one. Is that issue 423, or is there another metrics issue that I should be following?
Let me see. Yeah, that is what I merged today, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's not yet in production, and I need to cut the Pages release also before it goes.
Just wanted to make sure that was the testing issue we're talking about. Perfect.
Yeah, and there is one more remark from Camille, and basically, which is like currently in progress. Basically, after that, at least how I understand it, we think that Pages site is basically ready for the production use. So there are some, I don't know, maybe 5 or 10 issues left, which were like nice to have, and some technical debt or something like that. But they are not blocking us from even going to 100% in production, which is great because.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, go.
I was
okay. So. Sorry. So basically, we were expecting that something goes wrong, and one of these issues will be needed to fix this. But so far, so good. So yeah, all of them really nice to have, and we can do them later.
When we say for production use, I'm assuming it's a subset of users. Do we have like of who would actually benefit from this feature? Would it be new customers getting started on Pages, or will it be a certain population of Pages users?
When we will start rolling out like next week, it will be projects on Pages who have basically who recently redeployed their pipelines for pages. If I recall correctly, like some Camille's estimate, it was about the third of all the projects we had. And also we will start deploying, rolling out to like small percentage. So I probably will do like 5% first, then like 10, 20, and this way. And so also when it will be like 100% enabled, it will actually work only for 30% of the projects, because only this 30% will have these pipelines run recently enough. Yeah, and then basically only thing which will hold us from going to real 100% is my work on the Rails side, which is
the migration effort, right? That's all migration work. Okay. So when enablement is looking to start efforts on related work that's blocked on NFS storage for new installations, they could potentially start work as soon as we finish the metrics from Camille and Jaime.
Now, I also need to finish my current epic, which is deployments.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Work. Yeah. And like, it will be slightly problematic because without migration, still there will be no option for this new installation to migrate back and forth. So if something goes wrong with the object storage and there is no migration written anywhere, they couldn't migrate back, right?
We can't roll back. Yeah, got it. Okay.
Yeah. So maybe it will require some additional effort. So actually, until I read your last message on the agenda today, I didn't think about enabling it for self-hosted in any way. So like in my head, it was just, we need to get this to .com as soon as possible, and everything else like we'll think after.
I think that's the perfect approach. I'm just getting these ancillary questions, and my response to them is we are only prioritizing .com right now, but I wanted to have like a deeper understanding of how this fits in our greater plan, because I understand like conceptually that all of stuff that we're working on is to help enable .com so that we can test everything on .com and get our larger .com customers up and running on this. But there's this whole other side of the business that's like, well, what does that do for these customers? So that's super helpful just to have that understanding.
Yeah, I would say that once we start the migration effort, even when like I start writing very first code for it, it probably will be already in the state when like enablement team, right, can start working on the, let's say, Kubernetes installation of the GitLab to make it work with the pages. Yeah, so like when we will just only be starting rolling out it to .com, they already can start working on the self-managed.
Okay, that's helpful. So as soon as we know like the metrics and we get that 100% of 30% of our projects rolled out, then I'll flag down enablement to let them know that they could probably start working on some of their other efforts, because pages is decoupled in this case.
Yeah, it is possible that like this is separate events actually. Like basically once I finish the deployment work and start with the migration, then you can probably ping the enablement team. But to get to 100% of this 30% is also requires some time. So maybe these times will be close to each other. Yeah.
I'm not keen on bringing them in sooner than later. I just want to have like the boundaries well understood, because there are a lot of issues to follow in these epics, and sequencing your epics are super clear and like how each step needs to be completed one after the other for the deployment activities. And then migration is a little tricky because it seems like there's some work that has to be done prior to the actual migration efforts that you do in Rails in order to prepare us to be ready for production, even for just the general pages separation. So that it's clear now.
Yeah, basically I just didn't write down the migration effort that much as I did with the deployment stuff. Just like, I don't know, I spent I don't know, 15 minutes on it, and that's all. Once I finish the deployment stuff, and start with the migration, it will be better defined.
Okay, perfect. That makes sense. And then the Rails part is behind the Golang.
Yeah, basically, yeah, it still looks fine, but yeah, Go part just moved so fast that now I feel like I'm dragging everything.
No, I don't think you are. And then I
hope
saw
so.
that Eric is leaving too. I was like, dang, I wonder if he would be willing to continue to contribute from the outside as a side thing. I might talk to him about that.
I don't know. If he will, that would be a nice thing. Yeah. Also, not what thing I realized a little later is it's not only Eric but also Jim, I guess his manager, who also like authorized this in the first place. So I don't know. Maybe it would be nice to talk with someone who, I don't know, takes the Jim place. In a month. Oh, by the way, Jin is here, I guess, for another month. So maybe we can
see like how he feels like this fits into his project or in his portfolio, and then see if we can get somebody else on it.
Yeah, because basically current redirects functionality is super basic. It doesn't cover even what we need for docs at the moment. So yeah. It would be sad if it's stuck in that place.
I know. And unfortunately, we just can't prioritize it right now. We have so much work with the migration and the deployments that just isn't fitting in our work. But now that we're getting up and running with community office hours, I wonder if this is one of the ones we can indicate as contribute for prize. And we can continue to engage the community on this. And maybe Eric would be incentivized then to do that. Because he already has familiarity, he gets swag now. So I'll talk with Jean though, and we can. I'll also talk with Nicole about this whole feature set being contribute for prize.
Yeah, and then, that's actually a nice idea.
Because that way we can mobilize the community around it. As obviously, if somebody outside of our team could have built the simple feature, I'm encouraged that maybe further iterations would be good. Okay. And then we already answered my question there. I'll talk with Nicole about this, but I was on a call with two customers who are super interested in following this effort. And they actually have this epic, the 3901 epic bookmark. Like I watched them go to their browser and click on this epic because they're watching this. And I was like, oh gosh. And they're interested particularly in the confidence of us hitting our milestones that we have in each of these areas. And we don't have a good mechanism for that in GitLab. And also I do feel like I can push back on the customer and be like, well, that's just not how we work. But it would be nice to have some sort of indicator of confidence. And whenever we put the, target versus worst or bad case, that was what they were looking for. They were looking for like, if something comes up, what's the most likely next best guess that we would deliver. Nicole doesn't seem to be in favor of having that. So I'll talk with her about finding some other way to indicate confidence, because this is a really big
Mm-hmm.
effort. And there's a lot of things that other people are watching. And I just want to have one place that we can point customers to for them to feel like, oh, I can understand what this all encompasses. Because right now, like people are bookmarking your epic and they're following it. So I want that to be the source of truth.
Yeah, actually, I don't know. On top of my head, I don't have a good idea how to indicate confidence, except for maybe the same way we do it for our reports on the issues we do.
The updates.
Yeah, sync updates, but it's much harder in that case because
it's a whole body of work. It's several issues. Yeah. But I'll talk to her about it and see if we can. And I mean, I don't think it's a bad idea to have a padding for the milestone. Like, I don't think that that's communicating falsely, because this is all very subjective anyways. But just wanted to give you a heads up that I'll be talking to her about it, and we can kind of brainstorm on what do we want to display? Because I agree, we're being truthful in the target milestones that we have because that's our best guess. But this is just, well, if something does come up, what do we think is the next other direction? Because that's what people are asking for. And I'd like to give them a response, but if we can't, because that doesn't really follow our process, I'm okay saying no. Just best cases, we can give them what they want.
I wonder why they follow it so closely. Like, why? Like, I don't know. Do they plan for some updates in the future? Do they plan their own Kubernetes migration, or what?
They are planning their own Kubernetes migration on it, and that's exactly it. A lot of these companies are doing change management projects, and they have to get funding for their budget. So they're trying to figure out like when will be available to support their Kubernetes migration, and then they can get funding starting a certain day. So like this is, we're like that linchpin, not only for our internal .com migration, but for these organizations that are waiting for GitLab to be supported like this. So it's a very global effort, and I don't want to be misleading and have them procure funds for December when it could slide into December, right? And
just, yeah, I mean, actually, I would just add a couple months from that perspective to our current end date. Even like, I don't know, especially if these are large organizations who want to migrate existing instances, like migration of existing instances is usually much harder, right? Mm-hmm. Than just creating a new one. And if there are some problems, they will hit them with a high probability just because they have more projects and more use cases and everything. So if I was in their place, I would just wait for a couple more months, even after we release everything, just to see that, okay, some other people tried it, new installations are already working this way, everything like, I mean, there will be probably some problems and we will fix them. And yeah, after a couple months, it works properly, they can upgrade. So I will just plan for like, if we plan for new instances to be able to enable it in, let's say, December, and start with zip storage right away, then I would just say that, okay, these guys should start it in like February or March or something like that.
And that makes perfect sense to me. I just have to find the mechanism to communicate that. And what we had as like the bad case maybe should be like, instead of bad case, we talk about .com new installations versus migration installations. And then that way we're having a separation like, hey, .com people can take advantage of this if they're new installations starting in December, and then migration customers should probably wait until February. And we can indicate that in that table. That's a really good idea. So I'll talk to Nicole about that, because I think then we're being transparent without having this fluff.
Yeah, we can just add a table somewhere like our current plan is to migrate .com in December, give a couple months for new installations. And in March, you're like free to plan that you will start migrating your existing large instance for your, I don't know, some big company.
Yeah, exactly. And some of them are actually like waiting to even purchase like their GitLab contract. So we're getting them pressure from sales. And that's where some of like the field teams questions are, because then they want to be able to say, hey, yes, you guys can sign your contract in November and you'll have enough funds to complete your migration, whatever. That's the kind of activities that are happening, and that's the demands that we're getting. And I think what we're talking about right now will give everybody the tools that they need. So that's perfect.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay, well, that wraps it up. Thank you. Let me know if you need anything else, okay?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Jeff. Have a good day, Jack.
Bye.